Hello. So, I'm going to talk today about fighting for our families, fighting for our children. And as a writer, I prefer to write these thoughts down and organize them and shine them up and make them look great. But sometimes I just need to sit down and look at the camera and talk. And here I am. I have a lot of things rolling around in my mind, and posts that are half written and posts that are in my head that I want to share on social media. Posts about the value of life in the womb, but also posts about what's going on in our life, including life in the womb. So we are nearly 8 weeks pregnant, and I am 42 years old, and I have had 2 very early miscarriages in the past 3 years. And at this time, 2 years ago, I was newly pregnant with our son Noah, and I had a very smooth and good pregnancy during the pandemic, a real answer to prayer and a gift from God. If you know, or you may or may not know some of our story, but we experienced 7 years of infertility trying to become pregnant with our daughter, or any child, but ended up being our daughter. She came as a natural gift from God. I got pregnant with her in 2017, and after years of trying and having some interventions, here she was. God showed up, and Jesus said, yes, here's your baby. And our daughter was born in 2018, and then took some time to become pregnant again. We didn't take time on purpose. My body took some time. And then we had a very early miscarriage, and then a few months later became pregnant with Noah. So our son Noah grew and was a healthy baby as far as we knew. It was a pretty healthy pregnancy. His anatomy scan ultrasound at about somewhere around 20 weeks showed that everything looked great, and he was a mover, and I could just feel him in there, and I was so glad to have him in our family. We had longed for this son, and we had held that name Noah in our hearts for probably a decade. We desired this little boy. And then at 34 weeks, he quit moving. One morning, I just realized he was not moving. And later that day, the doctors confirmed my fear that his heart had stopped and he had died in the womb just weeks before he was supposed to be born. And that was the worst experience of my life. But it was also such a passionate, sorry, I'm feeling quite emotional today. It was such a time of the presence of God being so near to us, deepening our faith. God drew me close to himself. God was with us. It was right before Christmas, and it was Emmanuel. God is with us. He was so, so real to us. And the value of a child in the womb also became more real than ever before. When we held our little 5-pound baby, born at 34 weeks, he had been deceased for a couple of days or several days when we gave birth to him. And I just remember feeling more passionate than ever that his life was worth it. Carrying him in the womb for 7 months, he got to live in Hawaii. He got to go in the ocean. He got to hear his big sister sing the ABCs over and over and over. And he had a good life. He was safe. He was loved. He was thriving in the womb. And then an umbilical cord accident brought that to an end, and he went to heaven, where he is still thriving in the arms of Jesus. And we are so grateful for our faith. And when I held Noah, I thought several thoughts. I thought this life was worth it. Even if it ended so soon, his life was worth it. And I thought, I have never felt more passionate about the value of an unborn baby than now. Like, this is a child. This is a person who has been loved. And there was such an outpouring of love to us, and an outpouring of love for him in the days following his death. Gifts and donations and meals and just support and encouragement and love. And when we buried him, all of his aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins were there. It was was a life worth valuing. I also, the day that he was born, just passionately thought, okay, I'm going to be 41 here in a couple of weeks, but I really believe that God is saying we're not done. This is not the end of our story. I really believed that we would have another baby. And once again, it took a long time for us to have another baby. And here I am in the early summer of 2022, newly pregnant, and what I'm seeing on social media and what I'm seeing in the world is this battle for babies and this battle for children and this battle for families. And there are countless examples. And what I'm going to talk about today is specifically this tiny little human inside of me who is so tiny, the size of a blueberry or a raspberry, with the heartbeat that we could barely see today at 7.5 weeks pregnant. And it's a life, it's a child, it is somebody who God created in his image, someone who God knows already and who I adore and I desperately want to meet on earth. And meanwhile, throughout the nation and throughout the world, there is this battle of people demanding a right to be able to put this life to an end. If I didn't want this baby, or if this baby were an inconvenience, or if this baby had some health problem, God forbid, then I could just kill the baby. I could kill this baby at 7 weeks, and I could kill this baby at 34 weeks. And there's just so much of a fight and a battle to be able, people are asking and demanding and wanting to be able to kill these beloved children. And as a woman who is 42, who has been trying to have children for 12 years, and who has one living child here, and one buried in North Carolina, and 2 that were just so tiny they were early miscarriages. And this one who is hanging in there, hanging on, and we are praying and praying and praying for this child to thrive. I desperately love these children. I am a fierce mother. I am a mama bear, and these are my babies. But what I'm seeing is a difference between wanted and unwanted. Betsy, of course you want your children. You're married. You are in a stable relationship. You have stable finances. You've been praying for children. You're a person of faith. Of course you want these children. Of course I do. But you know what? It doesn't make any difference to God whether this child is wanted or that child who was conceived in rape, or that child who was a big surprise, or that child who has a disability or a possible disability. These tests are not always accurate. And people want to be able to determine the value of a child, when I believe that all of these babies are valuable, and all of these babies have potential, and all of these babies are wanted. Yes, I think that there are changes to be made and room for growth for people to continue supporting life, to continue supporting the struggling mothers, to continue jumping into foster care and adoption. And I will say that's a different ballgame than infertility. They often go hand in hand. I was recently criticized for not adopting all these children out there. And it is something we have definitely contemplated, and it is a route that we have not pursued. Our lives aren't over, so I'm not ruling it out as something that we will never do. But there are always roosters in Hawaii, by the way. Chickens, roosters, noise. So I'm not ruling out adoption, but it's not the path that we have taken right now. But man, I have so many people I know who have adopted, who are adopting, who are waiting and desiring to adopt children. And I am supporting them in any way I know how. So what I wanted to speak about in this moment is these babies in the womb, my children, your children, her children, those children. Children that are growing in the womb are people. I can do blood work this week and find out if I'm having a girl or a boy, because that is already determined. I can go ahead and start thinking of names for this baby. I can start planning, okay, what do we need? What baby items do we need? And it's a baby. It's a child. It's a baby right now as a tiny little peanut of 7.5 weeks. It's a baby at 34 weeks, fully formed. And everything in between, before and after. God has created these children in the womb. I am passionate for fighting for our families in the womb and outside of the womb. And that means fighting for healthy marriages, for healthy parenting, for healthy families, for healthy relationships, for people just to walk in health and life. And it's hard. It's hard to do those things. So finding support, offering support, encouraging one another, helping one another, living in a way that ministers to other people, those are all so important. So I wanted to take a moment to share that and just to try to put some words to this reality that here I am, early in pregnancy, late in life, crying out to God for the life of my child, but also crying out for the lives of other children in other wombs and children yet to be born, that these children will be born, that they will live, that they will thrive, and that God will do mighty works and that He will show up. He is Emmanuel. He is God with us. He has shown up time and time again on our long road to having children, and I desire to see more and more of that in our lives and in other people's.